Hello everyone! Welcome to another episode of Bible Q&A. Today we're discussing, how did David win God's heart in spite of his failings? King David is mentioned hundreds of times in the Bible, and many would consider him to be one of history's greatest figures. God highly praised him in 2 Samuel chapter 7, and promised him that he would get an eternal dynasty. However, David was also a very flawed individual. He had adultery with Bathsheba and killed her husband in 2 Samuel chapter 11, and he held a census even when Joab warned him not to in 2 Samuel chapter 24 verses 1 to 4. His latter actions caused the deaths of 70,000 people, something even Saul wasn't responsible for. Why then did Jehovah love him so much? Well, for one thing, he was sincere. In 2 Samuel chapter 6 verses 20 to 22, Michal blasted her husband for dancing half naked during the return of the ark, but he didn't care. He was excited about the restoration of organized worship and he wanted to show it, regardless of what anyone else thought. Paul was the same, saying in Romans, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek." Romans chapter 1 verse 16. Also in 2 Samuel chapter 24 verses 24 to 25, when David wanted to perform a sacrifice to stop the plague his census caused, he insisted that he pay for the land and animals he'd use for the altar, because he didn't believe that he could perform a sacrifice without it costing him anything. As the king, he could have just taken all that stuff, but he understood that this was bigger than his kingship. He needed to re-establish trust with God, and he had to do it with his own resources. Of course, other people danced to celebrate God, and many people offered sacrifices. David wasn't really special in this regard. What made him special was his focus on himself and his faith. He did odd things, and sometimes wicked things, but he didn't do them because of other people. He just did what he thought was right, and if it wasn't right, he repented, not blaming other people. That's why he let Shimei curse him in 2 Samuel chapter 16 verse 10. It was simply a part of his punishment. In the Psalms he said, "I will not give sleep to mine eyes, or slumber to mine eyelids, until I find out a place for the Lord, a habitation for the mighty God of Jacob." Psalms chapter 132 verse 5. David even put his life on the line for God. He told Goliath, "Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied." 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 45. He didn't kill him because of the reward. He killed him because he was blaspheming against Jehovah, and he had to be taught a lesson. Again, David wasn't Israel's only warrior or temple builder, but his reaction to the situations he found himself in was outstanding. He didn't curse Shimei like his men asked him to, and he didn't back down from fighting Goliath because Saul and the Israelite army were scared. He did what he wanted to do, and he wasn't intimidated by anybody. That's what we should take from David's life. We can't be cowards. We have to do what we know is right, even when we're facing pressure, and when we do what's wrong, we have to deal with the consequences ourselves. That way, we show we are capable soldiers who can fight the battles of the Lord. As St. Paul said, "Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked." Ephesians chapter 6 verses 13 and 16. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. How did David win God's heart in spite of his failings? He won God's heart by being sincere and by valuing God, all while doing what he thought was right, regardless of the opinions of others. Thank you for listening! Don't forget to like and subscribe!